Coming up on this episode of Driven, we'll see a lot of great stories from the spring sports.
Usually our May show is a best-of show from the entire year, but SportsLink was very busy producing some compelling story in the last few weeks of school, so we had to change the format a little bit.
Plus, it's my final show as host, so don't go anywhere. A lot of great stories coming up next on Driven.
Ball State Sports Links Driven is proudly presented by Stoops Automotive. Online at stoopsauto.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Zach Hughes alongside SportsLink Freshman of the Year, Connor Onion. Connor, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. I'm in the presence of the SportsLink MVP, so I'm doing excellent.
Well, why don't we just toot our own horns a little bit in the intro? Hey, let's begin this episode with baseball player Jacob Brewer. He was once a young, hot baseball prospect, and the junior right-handed pitcher from South Bend made many appearances in his first 2 seasons as a Cardinal. But he had to get surgery for the first time in his life, causing him to miss the entire 2013 year. And a religious moment helped him get back on the mound. Here's his story, produced by Luke Martin, Chris Kaczynski, and Peter Loomis.
0.4 of a second. The time it takes a ball to travel the 60 feet, 6 inches from the pitcher's mound to home plate. 0.4 of a second. More than enough time for a career to end. Jacob Brewer's road to Division I baseball began in South Bend, Indiana, pitching at St. Joseph's High School. Brewer's flourishing career included many outstanding performances, but one will never vanish for his parents.
Whenever St. Joe played Marion in South Bend, they call it the Holy Wars, you know. So that was a big deal, you know.
As the article said, he quieted their bats. I mean, they couldn't get a hit against him, and I thought, yeah, he's got potential.
That potential ultimately led Brewer to Muncie, but the first 2 seasons in the Cardinal and White, Ball State was 29-71.
I think the tough part is that, you know, you've had so much success leading up to college, and then you come in as a young buck and you're thinking that's the same kind of stuff. You know, it's very few people that get to do that where they're so good right away.
Following his sophomore season, Brewer was having the summer of his life, pitching in the Great Lakes Summer League. But in 0.4 of a second, everything changed.
It was an all-star game. I threw 2 days prior to that, like 7 or 8 innings. I had like 120 pitches. And me, I'm a competitor, so I'm like, you know, I cannot not pitch in the all-star game, you know? It's the all-star game. I ended up throwing the hardest I've ever thrown on that game. Got off the mound, and I felt great, you know, because I topped off, and then all of a sudden I noticed that my arm was like real tight, and I was like, holy cow, I don't know if I can extend it all the way. I took the whole rest of the summer off because I knew the coaching staff was coming in. I actually talked to Coach Maloney, and he told me, you know, I don't want you throwing anymore. I want you to be ready to go for the fall.
The rest didn't help. His arm never recovered. After further evaluation, something more serious appeared. Tommy John surgery is synonymous with the game of baseball. It is a surgical operation named after former Indiana native and Major League Baseball pitcher Tommy John.
When Tommy John had the operation back then, they never dreamed that he could come back. Because the surgery is basically removing the tendon that controls your elbow. and rewrapping it. They take this tendon out of your wrist area and get rid of the one that's destroyed, and they drill holes through your bones of your elbow, and they wrap it like as many times as they're capable of wrapping it, and then they kind of suture it, and hopefully it connects to your muscle properly to where you can actually come back.
I just kept looking up different websites, like what percentage of people come back, like what is it that helps people come back, you know, and like all this stuff. And I'll never forget, I saw a stat on it, 1/3 of big league pitchers have had Tommy John surgery. I was like, okay, well that makes me feel a little better. You know, if they can do it, I can do it.
The surgery was set, October 30th, 2012. A date the Brewer family will never forget. With a blizzard hitting the Midwest, something happened at the hospital they never envisioned.
I got my gown, my little socks, I was laying in bed, and you know, I looked at my parents were on my right, I was just talking to them basically, you know, and the doctor comes in, scopes my arm out, getting ready to go, and I look at my left. All of a sudden I see this big smile on Coach Maloney's face as he's walking in, taps me on the shoulder, and you know, you ready to go? And it was a blizzard outside. And that 2.5-hour drive to Cincinnati, I don't know how you make that.
Whether he's a great coach or not, he's going to be a friend of this family, you know, from now on, because anybody that shows that kind of caring is a heck of a man.
I told Jake, you know, I'd like to come over when you have your surgery to see the tendon pulled out and to see Dr. Kremchek with the tendon, and then to show it to me through the window before he's putting it back into Jake. He was all excited because he said, this one's going to be a good one.
Brewer had to sit out all of the 2013 season, pushing his way back into shape. But the worst part wasn't the agony of rehab. It was the heartache of sitting in the dugout.
You start out strong, you know, and then you get to see all your buddies that are playing baseball and stuff like that, and you've been playing this game your whole life. You think it's just, you know, it's always going to be there. You get injured and you can't play anymore. You don't realize how much the team means to you, how much it plays a part in your life until you literally don't have it, until it's stripped away from you.
What couldn't be stripped away was Brewer's passion to return to his pastime.
I started to get pretty decent with my left-handed throw for a while because I just wanted to throw a ball so bad.
He wants it tomorrow, and you like guys like that. He's a guy you have to tone down a little bit and understand reality that it takes time.
.4 of a second. The amount of time it took for Jacob Brewer to realize who the man on the mound truly was.
Jake Brewer, when he first got to Muncie, was very immature, thought he had everything figured out, couldn't listen to anybody because he thought he had everything figured out, compared to the one now who, when he got kicked down, took a step back. I think the Jake Brewer now is a lot more grown up.
Coming out this year, looks like he's stronger than he's ever been, having a lot of success, and it's been really neat to see because I've been around him pretty much the whole process since he's been through his recovery and surgery and rehab and all that, and he's really handled it well.
I mean, I think the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit for him because the electricity in that arm, he just got to learn to harness it and not take steps back. He's taken a lot of steps forward, but he'll end up taking steps back and kind of bouncing back and forth. And once he hits his stride, I think it's out there.
He's got to get out of thinking on the potential anymore, and he's just got to go out there and compete and be diligent and just be a warrior out on the mound.
You know, when you're talking next level and all that, he has the physical tools. Now it's about repeating those physical tools every time he steps on that rubber.
Whether it's having the stats that I wanted to or not, just to get back out there and show that I can get my body back into the shape that it needed to be in. I feel like that not only meant a lot for me, but like the other people that had my back, Coach Maloney, Seth, Bautaw, and Sean, all these guys that told me that I could come back for it. I wanted to prove to them too that you're right, I will come back for it.
For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Luke Martin.
For seniors Taylor Rager, Jenny Gilbert, Lauren Schroeder, and Audrey Bickle, their relationship holds more value than just 40-win seasons and MAC championships. The quartet has established a friendship that will live on long past their time at Ball State. Tori Fox and Alex Seitz bring you their story.
Over the past 39 seasons, Ball State softball has historically been just another team in just another conference. But in 2011, then head coach Craig Nicholson signed 4 different players looking to write a new chapter in program history.
When I came here, I was pretty set on going somewhere else, and then I met the coaching staff here. And it was just a complete 180 because the coaching staff was friendly and fun and serious, but at the same time, you know, you could have a life and play softball.
I liked the avenue that Ball State softball was going. They had already had some success, and I just really liked Coach Nicholson and his vision and philosophy for the program. And I liked Indiana because it, you know, was a northern school and just something a little bit different than, you know, the Texas environment that I played in growing up. So, yeah, I just knew as soon as I went on my visit, this is, you know, something that I want to be a part of.
After playing on my high school team, I just made it a goal. I want to get good enough to be on a D1 team. And starting around like sophomore year in high school, junior year, it actually became like a reality that it could happen. And Coach Nicholson just made it a lot of fun. So he was one of the biggest reasons why I came here to play.
I knew when I was looking here and Coach had started recruiting me that they were an up-and-coming program, that they were getting better, that every year they continue to get better, and I knew that he was a great coach because I had heard nothing but great things. I know when Coach first started out here, he struggled just to pull in good players, and so he had to get players who just kind of bought into what he wanted. And then, you know, as the years went on, we've just gotten better and better talent and have been able to do a lot with that talent.
As the program continues to succeed, the 2014 class has quickly risen to the top, averaging 36 home runs and 151 runs batted in as a class over the past 4 seasons. They've also led Ball State to 3 consecutive MAC championships, marking not only a change in the program's legacy, but also a change in the standards they've set for themselves.
Before Coach Nicholson was here, the program really struggled, but you know, with him and with my class, we've just become a lot stronger and more of like a dominant force, not just in the MAC too, but you know, across the country. People are starting to realize who Ball State is and what Ball State softball is all about.
You know, when I got here my freshman year, we had a good group of girls. There was a lot of talent, and we had a pretty good season. And I think every year since then we've improved, and our records have shown that. And the teams we've beaten, the teams we've hung with, the teams that we shouldn't beat that we've beaten now, we're putting Ball State on the map.
I've, you know, definitely grown up a little bit, certainly being a freshman and then now a senior. I think I've learned a lot more about the game. I've definitely learned just like strategy, I think, for the game. I want to be a college softball coach when I'm done playing for Ball State. How to think in a certain way has just helped me improve my game a whole lot more.
When I came in as a freshman, I was terrified. Now I feel like I've grown up a little bit and understand my strengths, understand my weaknesses, and know how to use those to my advantage. And I feel like I have a little more faith in myself.
I think also as a leader I've been able to grow. On my other teams, because I was kind of played up, so I was always the younger person. And, you know, I would try to be a leader, but it's harder to be a leader for people that are older than you. But coming through this program and having good leaders before me, you know, helped me to grow, I think, on the field as a leader.
So slowly, like sophomore year, junior year, I started playing more and more, and senior year I started playing more and more. So like, every year just became more confident in my playing abilities. And it's helped me become a better person too. Like when you come in as a freshman, you're always like scared and timid because it's just a new situation, but softball's really helped me become just an overall better and stronger person.
In all, the rings and the records that this class owns may never be matched, but they arguably fail to exceed the bonds and the relationships built on this team.
When I think about Ball State softball, I think about the family that I've gained being here. And that will forever be the one word I use to describe this team. They're nothing but family.
That family part is the one that comes in, because even though you might have those rough patches that we all experienced together, it still like made us closer. It makes us, play even better on the field.
Ball State softball gave me a second family. And not just the girls who are here now, it's the girls who graduated last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Like, I have teammates who I can call sisters who live all over the country. And there's still that friendship that we have. And even though I haven't seen some girls for 3 years, we're still sisters and we're still a family.
For something like that, I think it just goes way beyond even just the softball aspect of it. There's 20 girls out there that, I would do anything for. I know that they would do anything for me. And so I think just that is really what will stick with me. That's what the program is. It's just us always being there for each other and doing everything we can to pick each other up and to be there for one another.
As current head coach Tyra Perry leads the program into the future, the winning tradition that is now Ball State softball can largely be credited to the determination, passion, and talent of the class of 2014. For Ball State Sports Link, I'm Torrey Fox.
James Blackwell knows golf. The sophomore from Buffalo became the youngest player to make the cut at the New York State Men's Amateur Tournament back in 2011 and has continued his success at Ball State. But for Blackwell, golf seems relatively simple now that he's been through what he has. A car wreck that seemingly could have derailed his entire career, Blackwell has battled back to continue playing the game he loves. Here is his story, produced by Aaron Van Auken and Andrew Boldemeyer.
Golf is a game measured by distance. Inches separate champions. It starts with a drive. But for James Blackwell, one drive was nearly the end. Inches separated life from death.
It was the first time that I was like, that could have very easily been the end.
Growing up in Western New York, golf was life.
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we'd play. And then I started to get pretty good, and then at age 7, I think the first tournament I played in was the PAL. It's a local police athletic league tournament, and I won that. And then I kind of realized that I was pretty good.
So good, even the world's best knew of the 8-year-old kid from Buffalo.
8-year-old James Blackwell of Buffalo, the chance to meet and work with Tiger Woods.
My dad always had me play up in the age group once he realized that I was pretty good. So once I turned 12 and started beating everybody, then I realized, and he realized, and other people realized that I could hold my own to some degree.
As a freshman and sophomore at St. Joe's Collegiate Institute, he clearly was the best in the game. His drives rocketed down fairways, his approach shots destined for pins. With every victory, every sub-70 round, every headline, the amateur legend grew. At the time, trophies were only outnumbered by college recruiting letters.
I think up until that point I had only lost one high school match, or I don't even think I lost one high school match. I think I at worst tied individually, and that was the year before. I had won everything, all high school related, prior to that point. So up until the accident at least.
911, where's your emergency?
loaded up the car and put the irons on the inside part of my leg and took off to head back. I remember when we got on, he told me to put my seatbelt on because I had a very bad habit of thinking I was too cool to wear a seatbelt. I think it was right around the time that we got on the 290 that the rain picked up again. Next thing I knew, I feel like a little fishtail type thing going on. And then it was raining pretty good at that point in time. And Uncle Jim, or Mr. Horn, my instructor, I call him Uncle Jim because he took care of me. He yelled out, "Oh no."
Yeah, there's a rollover accident. There's a DMC envoy.
After heavy rain, the SUV Blackwell was a passenger in hydroplaned. Headed 70 miles per hour at oncoming traffic, it flipped 3 times. Paramedics used the jaws of life to free the driver from the wreckage. First responders at the scene wrapped Blackwell's fractured, bloodied left hand in towels and told him not to look at it.
They were asking me like, am I hurting? Which at the time, when you're in that much shock, you don't really feel anything. I could feel like a really weird cold feeling in my hand. I didn't think I was gonna really be able to do too much competitively at the time.
The game, which promised his future, now the last on his mind.
The clubs that I had like right next to me, the ones that I was trying out, I don't know how it happened, but like they just snapped right next to my leg, I guess. Because some of them were still in the car, some of them were out on the road, but they were all snapped. There was a lot of thoughts going through my mind at the time. But me playing golf was not up there. I was pretty thankful because, I don't know, it was the first time that I was like, that could have very easily been the end.
It wasn't. What followed was nearly 8 months of rehab, doctor visits, and even learning to play golf again with one hand.
You're not performing like you should perform or like you have performed. And instead of being better, you're worse, and kids that you were whooping on are now whooping on you.
Life, and the sport he loved, slowly returned. The recruiting letters did not.
The accident happened and they were still around, but then once I tried to, first year or two coming back, and we were all over the place, and then that's kind of when they stepped off to the side. You could say it stopped because it was the summer and all their kids were out playing, but it never picked back up, mainly because I wasn't very good.
A game measured by distance, but defined by staying the course.
Realistically, for a program like us and a school like us, we wouldn't have been looked at from his standpoint as heavily as what we were.
It was a lot like me, because Ball State was that no-name team that nobody really knew about, but they would go out and they beat you up, and then they'd leave, and there's no egos.
I don't look at it from a standpoint of, hey, you lost this time when you were younger. This time that we have now goes pretty fast in itself. Every day we work on stuff to help him become better, to help us become better. If I'm getting the most out of James Blackwell as a young man, as a student athlete, as a golfer, then our program's going to benefit.
In life, just as in golf, staying the course through the rough can be rewarding. Life is passing. To seize it, we must keep ourselves focused on the present. And for now, James Blackwell's focus is on Ball State.
You build toward the future, but we're in the now. It's good for maybe a month or a year, depending upon what tournament you win, but if you can't keep it up, after a while it fades away and it doesn't mean anything. So
and into now, and go from there.
For Ball State SportsLink, I'm Aaron Van Auken.
Well, that's going to do it for our final episode of Driven this semester. We certainly appreciate you sticking with us this season. You can definitely look forward to the return of the show come September.
Well, Zach, while we're on break, everybody can go out and find us on Facebook by searching Ball State SportsLink. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at BSU SportsLink. And also, don't forget to make sure to download the iPad app for a lot of extra material you can't find anywhere else.
Well, Connor, for my final time, I want to thank everyone on the floor, our producers, Emily Barker and Luke Martin, co-host Connor Onion. I'm Zach Hughes, and thanks for watching for my tenure as the host of Driven.